No, now. Well, welcome everyone. We'll get started in another minute or so. A couple of reminders, we are recording. Please use the chat to ask questions. Shea and I will be kind of tag teaming this. So one of us will be watching the chat, and I don't know about you, Shea, but I'm okay being interrupted. Are you okay being interrupted for questions?
I would love that. Questions are the most important part of this.
Okay, that's great. So I think most of you know us. I am Jenna Leveille. I'm the Deputy State Cartographer. This is Shea Lemar, and I will let her, see, she can give her own introduction other than being the Queen of GIS. Right? No?
Yeah, there's nothing else to say, I think. You've nailed it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So give me just a minute to share my screen and get all of my windows back. Yeah, it's going to look like a mess for a minute. There we go. Excellent. And we want presenter view. We're going to start from the beginning. Perfect.
Jenna.
So Shea, do you want to kind of get us started?
Yes, I would. I have a question. Can they speak? Are the participants allowed to speak, or do the questions need to go into the chat?
It's probably best to put them into the chat, but they can unmute themselves, I believe.
We tried it earlier and we had troubles, but then we all got kicked out. So.
Well, that was my fault again. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Like for instance, Ryan Johnson, could you try and speak, please? All right.
Or try and unmute yourself.
Somebody unmuted me.
Oh, yay.
That was me.
Okay. Okay, so you guys.
I can unmute myself, though.
Okay. Perfect.
No.
Great. Okay, so it sounds like, all right, shall I get started then?
Yeah, I think it works.
Welcome to the AZGeo Data Hub presentation. For a little bit, Jenna, will you go to the next slide? We are going to talk a little bit about AZGeo in general, then I'm going to step through the website and the AGOL Hub backend, and then Jenna's going to show you some use cases. We have put this slideshow together so that we have something to share online to give you a reminder of what we've seen, but I'm actually going to, in a moment, share my screen and show things on the actual live site. So let's see how that goes. So a little bit about AZGeo. It's been around for at least 6 years, but it was modernized over the past year and relaunched on July 1st of this year. The rebuild has been on every hub platform. I always like to say the great thing about AZGeo when it started is we were ahead of our time. I think Arizona was one of the first groups to put together a data hub for people to access data, which is fantastic. The downside of that was we did this right before a lot of the online tools that we all use were developed. So with this rebuild in Esri's Hub platform, it's a lot easier to share data. It's a lot easier to share applications, collaborate. Many of us are used to the software and the hardware. So this rebuild is really exciting. It's based on an initiative that was put together by AGIC, and ASLD has taken over the maintenance for a lot of it, and now it's kind of run by both, directed by AGIC and users, and has housed out of State Land Department. It provides access to open data, which is fantastic. and data that you want to share just with certain other people, which is also fantastic. I think of it as so much more than a data hub, though. We also have access to ArcGIS Online applications with 200 credits. So those people getting started in GIS using online, this is a great way to start getting into those applications if you work for a place that doesn't have all of these things already. It's used to share a lot of custom applications that different agencies throughout the state, as well as counties and local groups and private groups, use to make their data workflows go faster between agencies. And it's a shared development site. So again, it's a fantastic data hub plus so much more. The other great thing about the rebuild, in my opinion, besides the fact that it's built on a platform that so many of us are used to using and can share, is over these years, we've finally been able to convince management that a lot of this data should be shared freely. It's the way things are going. So since that's not only freely, but to anyone who wants it, so now you can access all of this open data with no login required. It's always been free, but I didn't want to have to make one more user account just to download the rivers of Arizona. So it is really nice to be able to get to these things. If I just need open data, I can just get in with the open data. However, if I need access to more, I can create a free login and get so much more. So next slide, please. I think now, if it's okay with Jenna, yes, Jenna, would you mind giving me the ability to share? And I'm just going to share the actual website. For those of you who want to follow along, after I grab it.
There you go.
Thank you. I am typing in the site so all of you can follow along. Okay, so everyone should be able to see my screen now. This is the main landing page. When you type in azgeo.az.gov, this is where you come. It talks about the site in general. Something to keep in mind, it tells you about the entire, yes?
Remember about obscuring your screen, so the little video where you can see me yep, exactly. Thank you.
Thank you. So it will tell you, it'll link you to the data page and the groups page to see a little bit more. It gets it for people who are new. I'm going to kind of fly through this because I assume a lot of us know it and are going more in depth. But it will tell you can be a public user all the way up to a higher level. Right here, for those of you who want to do more than just download open data, this is the link that you want. This will take you to a link that lets you say, I would like an AZGeo user account. Again, you can download open data without that user account, but the user account is the thing that lets you do more. It is free, but you do need a user account to do these things. Very simple, just your name and email. As Casey discussed earlier in the week, public user, anyone can view, search, and download open data. If you create a basic user account, you can also participate in groups, view and download group data, access certain group applications, access the Esri ArcGIS Online applications. So that really expands your capabilities. There are people who do need that next level. I'm thinking many of you might be those people. So for instance, if you work for a county or a city or a state agency and you need to share the authoritative data that your group puts together, to do that, again, there are many data resources where I have to filter for hours, or I have to search for hours to find, I want the rivers of Arizona. Well, I get my fourth grade son's rivers project pop up. I want the official authoritative rivers for Arizona. So to make sure that our data on AZGeo stays as the authoritative data, we have an AZGeo data contributor, and those people are people who are allowed to share data for their group because we want all of the data for Arizona there. And then we're going to learn a little bit more about groups, and Some people need to be able to administer the groups, add users, help bring data in and other things, so that's another level. So you can click on this, filling out this form to request access. That's what the majority of us need to do. But if you feel that you need to be a data contributor or create a new AZGeo group admin group account, there are those options as well. So that's the front page. The next link is the groups link. So if you click on the groups, again, a lot of different people have similar interests. We have similar needs. So we will create groups that help us do work. These existed in the old AZGeo, and they exist in the new AZGeo plus more. So Yavapai County has their own group for people who are members of Yavapai County and need to work together, whether they're sharing data or sharing applications, anything like that. We have a public safety group. Those are the people throughout the state who are interested in public safety. So this groups page tells you what the groups are, and then you can click, these are all of the open groups, the ones that anyone is allowed to see and work with. So if I want to learn more, maybe I work with hydrographic data a little bit. If I want to learn more about that, I can click the View Group Details, and it opens up the group page. Anyone who's used to working with ArcGIS Online, that's what the back end of Hub looks like. So many of us are used to seeing these group pages. So it tells me, here's the information about this group. Here's some more detailed information. If there's any content that's shared just between the group, it's here. Who are the other members? Okay, these are the other members. I would like to work with them. What's the content they have out there? Can I join this group? If I click join this group, it's going to submit a request to the group manager, and that person will either say, yes, we'd love to have you in this group, or, all right, I've never seen them not say yes. So any group that's open to the public, typically you're going to get a yes. So those are the groups. These are all the groups that we want people to learn more about. Now there are some groups that people can, the higher level users can only see on the back end, and we'll talk about those in a minute. The data. So if you go to the data tab, this is our open data search. So this is the open data for the state of Arizona, and just like all the other open data searches that I think most of us have seen, you can say, I want to start focusing on a particular content type. So for instance, please go to the boundaries and show me all of the boundary data that you have. Again, this is the standard Esri open data format. Many of us are used to seeing it. And then if I want to know more about this data, I can click here. I can get the attributes. I can see where it is. I can download it in different formats. I can see the tabular data. I can see the API, so I can bring it into as a service to my different applications. So one of the things I really like about our open data is the fact that 𝐀𝐫𝐢𝐳 County has their own open data site. So through AZGeo, we have brought all of their open data into the AZGeo open data. I believe Department of Water Resources, we've done the same thing with them. So 𝐀𝐫𝐢𝐳 County and Water Resources have their own open data site. They have everything set up. They share their open data as they normally would. All we have to do is work with them to easily say, could you also push that data to AZGeo? It's just a back-end thing that the AZGeo administrator set up with the particular group, assuming they want to. And now you can also find 𝐀𝐫𝐢𝐳 County, which already has their own open data set up. That automatically comes into AZGeo. They don't have to publish their data for themselves and push it to AZGeo. They take care of their own open data system. They agree to let it be hosted through AZGeo. We do a quick link up, and now if someone's on AZGeo, they can see that data as well. We're working to do that with a lot of the different agencies and organizations throughout Arizona. I personally, I want to go one place to find my data. I don't like having to search tons of different data resources. So I find that very valuable. So that's open data. As I mentioned before, AZGeo has also been set up to help different groups throughout Arizona to make their workflows run better. So, for instance, 911. Different counties need to share their 911 roads data with the state of Arizona. However, it cannot be for public consumption at that point where they are sharing it. It then gets processed and gets pushed to the public a different way. So there are data layers and groups within here that only share with each other because it's not ready for public consumption yet. So while the general data search does all of the open data, you can also search the private data. And the private, if I go through a search this way, it sends me to the back end, the hub website. But now when I do a search for here, Pima County, I will get all of the open data plus any data that is shared with me as my user or groups that I belong to. So the great thing about this is it meets the needs of the public for open data, but you can go to that next step for the shared data that's only shared between certain groups. Next, we have a metadata tag. We want a lot of people using open data and AZGeo, and those who are newer maybe aren't as familiar with metadata, so we tell them a little bit about metadata in the background. We talk about the standards that we try and have our users utilize, and then anyone who's dealt with metadata knows that it is a world unto itself. So what we've put out there is we understand some people have amazing metadata where maybe every field is filled out, which I can't even imagine. And then some people, they just don't have that yet. They don't have time for it. They don't have the people to do it. So what we put out there is we say, look, this is the authoritative data repository for the state of Arizona. So if you're going to share your data with us, which we would love to have happen, these are the minimum fields that AGIC and data experts have gotten together and said, at a minimum, please have these filled out, and that will make it usable to the citizens of Arizona and the geospatial professionals. So on here, we have the information for if you don't have everything filled out, please have these, and then we give you documentation on how to do that as well. Oh, good. I'm glad that yes, that's the thing. Again, we all know in a perfect world, we'd all have fantastic, complete metadata. Yeah, the world is not perfect. So, I mean, I am, but my metadata is not. That's all I have to say about that. Okay, partnerships and projects. So, for those people, oh, we'll get to your question in a minute, William. That's a great question. For those people who need to take it a little bit further, we do have partnerships and projects. So for many people, just having a group will be enough, and being able to share data with those groups will be enough. Some people need customized applications that maybe they're creating themselves, but they need different departments to be able to utilize or different agencies. So in that, ASLD works with different agencies, cities, counties throughout the state to kind of take it up to the next level. So for instance, there's an Arizona geodata supply chain, and that's a partnership between ASLD, ADOT, and some others to say, I don't know why the font isn't working right now. My computer's starting to choke. But these different tools that you can have access to, so they've added applications to it. They've taken it up the next step. So we do have partnerships for added applications, added access to other resources. I saw a question from William Nye that I believe it asked, if you have an account on the old AZGeo, will that transfer to the new AZGeo? And the answer is no. So you would want to go to the main azgeo.az.gov, and you would want to scroll down to this bold filling out this form, and you just put in your name and your agency, and not even that, your name and your email, submit it, and then the State Land Department will get the information and create a new account for you. So before I go to the back end, were there other questions? Jenna, did I miss any?
I think you got him, Shea. I think it is interesting, and one thing that I didn't realize would work was Bridget added that her Esri login works, Shea. She had to do it twice, but it worked. That's the first that I've heard that outside of our AZGeo that would work. Have you?
I have not. So do me a favor, Bridget, when you go to the page, like I'm going to go to the groups page and I'm going to click on Yavapai County. And I'm going to say view group details. Now I'm already logged in, but I assume it would have asked me to log in if I weren't. So I can then see Yavapai County, but when I go to groups, I can see all the groups I'm a member of. Does it list any groups for you when you do that, Bridget?
Bridget, I'll unmute you. Give me just a second to find you.
And, well, she's getting unmuted. The other
She's
thing,
unmuted.
So, great. So, Bridget, when you go and you see the Yavapai group and then you click groups, do you see any groups here?
Click group. So I have like from the main tab under groups, and it has joining a group, view groups, and shows the Yavapai County one, just like your screen does there. And then where did you want me to click for view group details?
So let's go to the top, and we're gonna, yes, for Yavapai County, let's click view group details.
It's just loading for a very long time. Like it's not even giving me the details now. Earlier today, I was able to look at the details of one, but then I had to do something for work, so I didn't go any further.
Right. And for everyone, if you go to the groups page, if there's a group here and you click group details, you definitely should be able to see the group. In fact, why don't I just, hang on. Partnerships, AZGeo. I am going to log out of AZGeo. And now I am going to refresh this.
So when I close my tab and open it again, it signed me out. So I just click on the sign in and it autofills my ArcGIS login information. I click the first time and it says the username you entered is not a member of this organization. Sign into ArcGIS Online. But I click it again, it's not work. I swear I was logged in earlier. It's not doing it now.
I believe you. Okay, no, I believe you. And I'm so glad you brought this up. So here's a few things. Anyone, whether or not you have an account, anyone should be able to click on any of these group details, and it will take you to the group page and give you the information about it. We have set them up so that whether or not you have an account, you can click on one of these and see the groups page. You can see right now, though, I am not signed in. I know that because it's giving me a sign-in option. So I'm not signed in. So I can see the details of the group. I can see some information about them. I could ask to join the group if I wanted. I can go and see the members. I can see everything and the types of data they have that they're sharing with one another or the apps. I can see all of this, but I'm not signed in. So even if, I'm glad you pointed that out, even if it does let you in, or my other thought is, as soon as you type in your login, your regular login, it would probably send you to AGOL, but I'm afraid it's sending you to your own organization. So I'm glad you brought it up. I think the moral of the story is even if it lets you in somewhere, you want to be using your AZGeo account. And if you don't have one, then people should make one and then do that. And now if I go to groups, see, I can't see, I'm not signed in. These are like general ESRI groups. If I want to see the AZGeo back end, I sign in. This is my AZGeo account. I'm going to sign in. And now I can see, let's go to groups, because it's one of the ones I go to most often. And again, this is a standard ArcGIS Online interface for most of us as far as we're concerned. So my user is a member of 3 different groups right now, and these are the groups. And if I want to see all of the groups in AZGeo, because I'm logged into AZGeo, I go to my organization groups, and I can see all of the AZGeo groups now. Just like I could see them here, but the difference is, well, nothing. I'm in the back end. That's the main difference. So I can see the groups that way. Okay. So for those of you who want to log in and poke around the interface with me, just go to Yavapai County, click on group details. It will take you to something like this, and if it says sign in, and if you have an AZGeo account, go ahead and sign in. If you don't have an AZGeo account, it's no big deal. You'll make one, and you'll have one soon. So, again, groups is a popular one. I can see the groups I'm a member of. So I'm a member of this group. I can see data that they shared with one another because maybe we need shared data. I can find out more about them. So the groups is just a great way to learn more, to share data that maybe isn't getting shared with everyone. If I go to, for instance, my organization groups, 911 public safety, as I mentioned earlier, they have to share a lot of things just with each other. So what I'm seeing right now is the content that they've shared with each other that anyone can see. But if I go into my admin account and I go to groups, so I have 2 accounts. So if I come here, I can see a lot more data because this account is a member of this group. So again, 911 shares a lot of data only with each other because it's not quite ready for public consumption. And I just want to show you that this is what a member of the group would see, whereas this is what a non-group member would see. I want to show you that you get a different view if you share things differently, which is why we utilize some of the groups. The other ones I use most often, yes.
We have some questions. Do you want to take a breath?
Okay. I'll take this moment to drink more soda. So you've got 1 second before I go. Okay, go ahead.
Right. Okay. So Lucas asked, if there is someone who doesn't have an account, but I want them to be able to contribute data to my group, do they need to get a user account first before completing a data contributor form?
Yes. So if there's someone you want to contribute data, they at the minimum need an AZGeo account. Jenna, I haven't done this in a while. To me, the data contributor form is those who want to contribute. Yes, they would then also need to request a full-on data contributor. And when you do that form, you have to mention who you work for, who you're sharing data with, because there's a difference between sharing open data and just with Lucas.
Yeah, we did have another question from Samantha about where is that form to apply to be a contributor? Would you like to show where they can find that form?
I would love that. So if you go to the Data tab and you scroll below the Open Data, because we assume that's what most people are doing, and then you go to the Data contributing data section, then you can see a data contributor access form, but it says below it if you need, yes, so there's your data contributor access form. And there it is again. And I wouldn't be surprised if we put it on the front page too.
Well, while you're here, Shea, do you want to kind of distinguish for folks the difference between an agency user request form and just a user account? Because that really has to do more with contributing. So I think it's a good time to.
Good point. So what we wanted to ensure is while all of us love our jobs and plan on staying here forever, every now and then someone will move jobs. So in the old system, we found that, let's say Jenna, God forbid, gets a new job, or Casey, and goes to work in Colorado. In the old system, the data contributing ability was tied to Jenna. Therefore, any data layers updated were tied to Jenna. And when Jenna leaves, those data, they're kind of left orphaned. Of course, there's a way to fix it, but why do that? So for data that's shared from an agency, so Steve Whitney does not share the Pima County data with us. He created a Pima County user account, an agency account for that entity, so that all of the Pima County data is shared from the Pima County account. That way, when Steve retires in 200 years, it's fine. The next person behind him gets to use that same account, and we aren't left with orphaned data. Plus, when you see that Pima County contributed the data, you might feel a little bit better about it than seeing that some name that you don't know contributed the data. So when contributing data to the open data, if you are going to be contributing data to be shared through open data, then we ask people to fill out an agency user request form. And that form is, again, just so that we have an agency putting data out there and it's not tied to a particular person. In Lucas's case, if a person is just sharing data with Lucas, it's not something to go out to the public, they probably wouldn't need an agency user request form. They would just need a personal data contributor access form because it's not going out to the general public. It's something shared within the groups within AZGeo. Jenna, do you think that covers it all?
Yeah, I think the only thing that I would add is that because we are interested in the open data available through AZGeo, we're interested in that being authoritative. Because of that, while you can contribute as under your agency account, we still require that you request us to make that available via open data. So we still have one more vetting layer so that we know that everything's good and what we're putting out on open data is authoritative. So it still has to go through a review period. And don't we just, if someone wants to share their data via open data, for them to request that, do they just, I think we've just had them send an email to azgeo@azland.gov, correct? Isn't that what we agreed?
Yes. So, and we have written forms for how to share. If you are a data contributor, there's a beautiful 3-page how to do it. Who to contact? Are you just sharing it this way, or is it open data? If it's going to be open data, then you need to set this and email this address and ask them to share it. So we have a how-to form for data contributors and a how-to form if you need to be a group administrator. So yes, and part of the open data is you can share data out there, but if it needs to go into open data, then here are the steps you take to do that.
Right.
Were there any other questions?
I have not seen any other questions. That means that you have just wowed everybody and given more information than they ever wanted.
That I believe. The second part, I definitely believe. I just want to show something else really quickly. So before I let Jenna get into the particular use cases, because I think that, again, shows the power behind AZGeo. So we've talked about groups. Let's talk about content. Because you get an ArcGIS Online account when you sign up for an AZGeo user, sorry, I forget. If I stick the word poop in there, it means to delete me. I'm so sorry. I've done it for decades. So I can upload data. Well, no. As a regular person, I can't upload data. But if I have data out there, I've got a content form just like normal. And what I love is I can create a map. I have the anyone with the ArcGIS user account can go in. They can add data either from AZGeo or from their own. Let's go to my organization, in this case, AZGeo. So, Lucas, I can have my DCSS payment. Lucas has put that out there for the Arizona Center line. Yavapai County NENA. You now have a mapping system. You can save this map. You can make an app from it, just like you normally would. You have the full ArcGIS Online plus 200 credits. So you can make maps, you can make apps, and you can work with story maps. You can do Survey 1, 2, 3. And in fact, I think this is the perfect time. Yes, I did geo-reference that. That's great. Thank you, Eric. So, and this is the perfect time to step to the things other people are doing, because we have at least one group utilizing AZGeo for online data collection. So Jenna, why don't I stop sharing and pass it back to you for now? Yeah, I can't hear Jenna.
How about now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. We had one more question in the chat as we were passing things back and forth, and while I'm getting set up, do you want to take a look at that? I think it was about credit.
Yes, and Bridget, I see yours as well. So let me go to my Lucas, answering yours. Can I tell how many credits I've used? I, as the admin, can tell how many. Yes, no. I'm looking at my account, and I went to organization, which is where I normally go, and I'm trying to see. I don't see it there. I'm going to look at members. That's not going to help me. I'm going to come here. Lucas, I'm going to look into yours, and I'll get back to you. Bridget, your question was, can you merge your Esri account into your AZGeo? And Jenna, correct me if I'm wrong. Right. Okay, good. No, you can't. And the reason is, one of the most powerful things about AZGeo is that you are becoming a part of the AZGeo community, which means you get access to the AZGeo community. And if we combine it with Esri, one, it's not technologically possible, and two, it opens it back up to all of that Esri data, which makes me want to gag myself with a spoon. So, but I am getting something in the chat that we can all look at. So I think those are those questions. Jenna, why don't I hand it to you?
Okay. So thanks, Shea. You were super thorough and fabulous, as always. So one of the really cool things about AZGeo is that we can use it in new and interesting ways, right? That's part of our partnership page, but we also have gotten all kinds of suggestions on how to use it differently. So I'm going to go over some of the examples of what we have and how we've used it thus far. I think we really feel like we're just on the edge. It's going to start, we're going to start using it in all different kinds of ways. So this example, ASLD works, as I think as most of you guys know, we are statewide. So we have 9 million acres, a little bit more. And we manage all this land, and part of that management is working with the jurisdictions where that land is. It's trails and grazing leases and different kinds of land management. And so we really wanted to be able to work with the Quad Cities, Prescott Valley, Yavapai County, and find out from land's perspective what they are planning down the road, so that we can help them with the application process at ASLD. We need data to do that. The easiest way for us to do that now that we have AZGeo is to work through AZGeo. So what we did was we invited City of Prescott, Prescott Valley, Yavapai County to all have accounts on AZGeo, and we set up their own individual groups. The idea was that they would be able to streamline their own workflows so that they could produce services if they want, they can, whatever they need for their business needs. But then separate to that, we had this other group, this Quad Cities group. And, oh, Shea, could you mute yourself? I can't mute you.
Oh,
and I
sorry.
can kind of hear you. That's okay. So we had this other group, this Quad Cities group, and we made the town of Prescott Valley and City of Prescott and town of Chino Valley. We all made them group members in our Quad City group. So what we asked of them was for them to share with us in the Quad Cities group the data that ASLD is requesting that they feel comfortable sharing. What that allows us to do is for the cities and towns to have their own autonomous group, and they can utilize AZGeo for whatever they really want. But then land also has a really easy way to get to the data that we need. They've already shared it with us. We don't have to request it again. We can always go to this group to get what we need to know what they're planning, how they want to use state trust land. And then we took that one step further, and we used the tools in AZGeo to create an experience. It's one of the back-end tools that you get as a registered user. And now, internally, our planning group, who is not in GIS, can open up this application, and they can turn layers on and off and see what's happening in the City of Prescott and see what's happening with Prescott Valley and be able to make better decisions and be able to do that more quickly. So this is a really great example, and one of the examples of why land is really a champion of AZGeo and why land supports this effort. So we're excited. It's a different way of collaborating, and we'd like to see this across the state, right? Give tools to the communities that wouldn't necessarily have them out of the box or don't have the revenue for it. Another really interesting business case, we were approached by ADOT Research Center. They are mandated because of their federal funding to make their findings and their reports transparent, to make those available easily to the public. And they have all of these qualifications that they have to meet for a repository. And while much of what they do doesn't have a huge component of geospatial data, right? The results of that, they have some, but not every report does. They definitely have tabular data, and then they have these written reports. And they needed to meet certain criteria to continue their federal funding. And so what we learned was that AZGeo can meet all of those needs. It can meet all of the rules of a repository for federal funding. It makes all of their information discoverable. We did something a little different with them, and this is not actually live yet. It's very close. But one of the things that they wanted was they wanted people that were interested just in their research to be able to go to their landing page within AZGeo, so it's like another tab of what Shea showed you, and be able to search just their documents. So we created like an open data search just on their page, but it also works in AZGeo's open data as well. So it's really kind of cool to see what we can do and the flexibility of the platform. We're super excited about it. Another really great example that crosses, I guess it crosses jurisdictional boundaries, right? we're looking at how we can put out data through AGIC and through our work groups. And the AGIC Natural Resources Work Group has a pilot project that they're working on in a smaller work group. So they have the hydrology work group. I can't remember exactly what it's called. There's folks on the call that know. It's a pilot project, right? So they want to be able to share data across agencies and be able to work with data and edit data and come up with a new process so that we can eventually, their goal is to have a more authoritative and useful water data set for Arizona. So we created this group and everybody joined, all the people that were participants, and now we can share data, we can edit data, we can collaborate on the best schema, et cetera, across agencies, and we can do that really easily. So this supports folks from Pima County, folks from Pima Association of Governments, ADQ, USGS. It's really pretty broad and very cool. So this was another use case that some of you may have seen earlier in the week. We had a presentation from Phil Ponce and Nick Smolofsky on what the town of Cave Creek is doing. And Phil has been contracted by them to validate some of their infrastructure data. And he created an application that they can get to on their phones that utilizes Bad Elf technology. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Confusing two things. So he created this app that allows, using Bad Elf technology, the validation of collected points in the city. So he collected points for fire hydrants and all sorts of things to validate their infrastructure data. Now that he has that, their folks can use Workforce to go out and do maintenance on different sites, but all of that, all of the collected data, all of the mapping is run through AZGeo. And Town of Cave Creek has the ability to share or not share as they determine, as they see fit. What we're hopeful for is that the more smaller entities use AZGeo, the more they'll see that sharing is really helpful for everyone. So this is an awesome example of how to use the tools that are provided through having an AZGeo account, and then really leverage the community that we've created here. So it's exciting. I kind of see that there was a question, Shea. Okay.
Yeah, I'm keeping track of them. We're good for now. Thanks.
Okay, I'll keep going then. I think we're pretty close. And I also, Shea, don't have a clock in front of me, so I don't know how much time I have.
It's 2:17, so you're good.
Great. So a couple more minutes. Some of the things that are coming that we've been approached about. One of those things is just, you know, a given. I wanted a page where AGIC and AZGeo connect. Because we have groups that are creating data, that are sharing data, that are doing awesome things, I wanted a landing page where the public could go to find out more information and where the groups could really build the content that they want. So you can see on the screen, it's, you know, there's going to be a new page where AGIC and AZGeo meet, and we're excited. One of the groups that's going to be on there is the Natural Resources Group. UAS will be on there, LIDAR is on there, will be on there, and 911, and then we'll expand it wherever we need to. We've started discussions with MAG and their partners. They would like to have us host the SunCloud initiative, which is, I don't know all of the details about it. I'm learning as we go. But it really is a projection, kind of a planning and projection tool and collaboration all through the Sun Corridor. So it's gonna incorporate work from 5 counties, and we're really excited. It's gonna go all the way down to small cities and towns collaborating and contributing and possibly having access to tools that they didn't have before. So that's one of the things that's coming soon. We are working with the Arizona Commerce Authority on a broadband page and initiative. What they've shared with us is that some of the funding has created data sets that are available to the public, and they want as much of the data from their efforts to get broadband into the rural areas available to the public as possible. So we will have that coming soon. And we also are working with forestry to host their AZRAP applications. So we're working on that. We're excited about what's to come, right? And I think we're done. So Shea, I'm gonna stop sharing for now.
Could you actually do a favor and share to me, and I could show a couple things?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. So I saw a few questions on there. So first off, let's answer, well, address something Lucas had put in there about, he put a very helpful link that Corey Whittaker had given out for a tool that will help transfer data, maps, and apps built in ArcGIS Online to AZGeo. So I haven't used that. I haven't used the tool he mentioned before. I've used it to transfer between accounts. But, oh, I guess it would help if I shared my desktop.
It would.
But I would like to show you that under this user account, I needed to go in and bring in data for different groups. And for those of you who have used ArcGIS Online, I think we've seen the add item, bring it in from my computer. However, what I did for this is I brought in other people's data because they said I could and we wanted to share it, and I brought in their applications as well. So Lucas pointed to a good tool, but out of the box as well, when you go in as your user, if you have permissions to do this, you can not only add the item from your computer, but you can add it from a URL, in which case you can bring in someone else's web service if it's already out there and you need to use it. And I used it to bring in applications, web apps that people had done that we wanted to drop into AZGeo because they asked us to. Lucas, the other thing to keep in mind is if you want to see the number of credits you have left, this is my regular user, so we should all have this ability. If you go up to your user and you pull down to My Settings, once you do that, there'll be some information, your profile that you can change, security, if you need to change your password, licenses tells you what you access, but the bottom tab is credits. And the credits will tell you what you've been assigned and how many you have left. So those are the two questions that I saw in the chat before I started talking.
Excellent. Are there any others? Yeah. I don't know if I can unmute everyone. Oh, I can. All right.
That may have been a bad idea.
Did you say?
All right.
Okay, how about this? Put in the chat if you have a question, a comment on how you could see it being used, something you would like improved or added. Okay, from Lucas. Oh, Lucas hit refresh. Okay, so here's the thing. Ian Mitra is a developer on AZGeo, and Jenna and Ryan, you'll laugh at this. So he had the credits tab on his because he's an admin. While Jenna was talking, I told him, he said it's here, and I said it's not there for a regular user. And 2 seconds later, he said it is now. So Lucas, why don't you refresh your account? There's a good chance it is now because Ian just added it. So the joys of having Ian.
On a call, right? He's like in the meeting, working as we speak.
Yeah. So good. So there's an enhancement that Lucas wanted that was fixed in 2 seconds. Now, don't think this is always going to happen, but do you guys have any enhancements or thoughts that you think? Jenna, will you mention while people are thinking how
Yep.
people wanted to join the yeah.
Yep, we were on the same page. So one of the things that's happened, I think a lot of you know, we have had an AZGeo work group through AGIC. The AZGeo work group was critical for all of this development and where we ended up. We've had a couple of smaller groups that have helped us with, you know, our data process and what we wanted for documentation and all the different components of it. Now that AZGeo is live and we've kind of transitioned into another phase, so to speak, the council has recently created an AZGeo advisory council or committee. I misspoke. So we are going to start having quarterly meetings of that committee. They are open like all the other meetings. And we would love for you to come and participate. We want to get feedback on wanted enhancements, on any kind of troubleshooting, if you're having difficulty with AZGeo, if it's not behaving as you expect it to, we want to know that. We want to know if we messed up anywhere. Did we mess anything up that doesn't suit most business needs? We want to know that if we don't already. So we really want to hear from you. And the way that you can get involved in that is to either email azgeo@azland.gov. The address is on AZGeo, or you can email me. And when we get those scheduled, they will be on the AGIC council or on the AGIC calendar as well. So please participate with us. I think the more minds we get on this and the more ideas from everybody using it, the better it's going to be, and the closer we'll get to being the one-stop shop for Arizona that we really want to be. So,
Elizabeth, I saw your question. I've unmuted you, Elizabeth. I saw your question about the connection between AZGeo and Portal and switching between. Can you expound a little bit?
Oh, I just mean, so like when I'm logged into Pro, we have all our data on our portal instead of ArcGIS Online, but then I also have the AZGeo as one of my active data sources on Pro, and switching between them is a little tricky, but I've figured it out, but that would be useful for people to know you can have them all in your project at once.
That is useful. Thank you.
Yes. Elizabeth, I might be contacting you. We're talking about making an FAQs or helpful hints page. So talking to you about getting that in there would probably be very helpful to people. Thank you. Jen Wonderland, this one's for you, Jenna. Is there a data set that you're often asked for that you do not have available?
Parcels. Statewide parcels. Every done. And we're working on it. We're working on it. We have to get everybody to share. So Josh asked a question that, Ryan, I think we're going to have to unmute you, or Ian. Josh's question is, are there any compatibility issues in sharing published services into AZGeo from older ArcGIS enterprise deployments? So, Shea, do you know that, or do we need to unmute Ian?
I unmuted Ian. Ian, did you catch that question?
Yeah, sure. I think the only thing that ASLD enforces is that it comes from a secure source. So the ArcGIS Enterprise instance should have HTTPS. And then, you know, as long as it's something newer, so like 10.5.1 or 10.7.1, something newer, it should work. If it's like a super old, like 10.1 or 10.2, then it probably won't work. But yeah, so security, and then as long as it's within a couple of generations of the latest release, it should work.
Thank you, Ian. Were there any other questions, comments? We really, really do want your feedback. It is so, it's what drives AZGeo. It's what drove the rebuild. It's why the rebuild is so much better. So It is 2:29. I am going to put the link to the survey in here, all participants. If you could fill out the session survey, that'd be great. And more importantly to me, if you could, I am also going to put in the link for, if I could find it, I was going to put in the link for AZGeo, but if you go to AZGeo, the email is all over the place. Any comments, thoughts, please send them in. It's hugely helpful to us. Jenna, do you have anything else?
No, just thank you for coming. We're just really pleased you're here. And thanks for learning about AZGeo. Get an account. Oh, I think there was one more question before everybody runs off. Mindy asked, what happens next after she fills out the form for the user account? You will get an automated email with your username telling you to create a password. So watch for that. Everybody that works on AZGeo is currently in the conference, so maybe give us a pass today, but we will get to you very, very soon.
All right, thank you all very much. Don't forget to visit your sponsors, join us for awards, and then another session in the Tiki Room.
Right. Thanks, everybody.
Jenna, are you going to kill the room when it's time?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, I think I got it recorded. Not sure.
Excellent. So,
yeah.
Great.
Oops.
All right, I'm going to go run and visit a sponsor.
Yeah, I was trying to manage that too. So we'll see you soon.
Good luck to you.
All right, bye.